Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we get started, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, our group of Vault Dwellers, they had a plan. They left the Nellis Air Force Base, and then they went to Black Mountain. They waited until the cover of nightfall before they began their attack. Marcy was their sniper. Deku was going to cause a distraction, and Chloe, she went further up the mountain range so that they could actually attack the super mutants from both sides. And this was very good. Deku drew in quite the crowd. Chloe decided to use the fusion core they got from Vault 3 as a grenade. After she broke the housing when she shot it, it began to leak energy. And then it blew up, collapsing one of the buildings inside the super mutant camp and allowing them to take out more. They were not prepared for this attack, and that was very clear. Deku, he stopped Chloe from getting hit by a direct attack from a missile launcher, where he was sent flying and heavily concussed. However, after they got the camp cleared, they turned off everything to the broadcasting system. Then the super mutant came out and they were able to take it out. Then they put up their own emergency broadcast beacon and sent their signal to the vault. They actually talked to members of their vault. And Deku, he tried to let them know everything. However, to these people, what he's saying sounds insane. What he's saying does not make sense. Deku brought up the Enclave, mutated fauna, Vegas being intact, mutants, and other things, along with the idea that a pre-war organization is capturing their people the moment they walk out the vault, and that is why they are never heard from again. And this, being the first and only broadcast they've ever received from their own people outside those walls within 2 centuries, it says a lot. Deku had a chance to speak to his father. However, he told his dad they don't have time for a proper chat. The man understood and tried to let his son do what he did best. Right now, this showed character to Izuku. And that boy he saw leave the vault, he's not too sure what happened to him. But his son is turning out to be a fine young man. However, we did actually have after the broadcast was cut and Deku was left anchored. He smashed the radio and then the group had to leave. However, whenever they were inside one of the Hidden Valley bunker vaults, they were attacked by the Brotherhood of Steel, who, after they heard all that commotion and saw what they were, wanted answers. These people were already in their backyard. Now they were on their lawn. So yeah. Upon discovering the Enclave radios, they wanted more answers. And our 3 were briefly imprisoned with a threat of execution if it was proven that they were Enclave. Now then, with all that being said, let us begin. We will start with Izuku and his group. They do all sit there inside their cell. It's a large, open room. The walls are made of metal. They do have benches they can sleep on. However, where there should be bars, there is the steady hum and sound of electronics, and the wall in front of them that is generating some sort of shield. It's odd. Deku spent the first couple hours trying to think about how it could have worked. Some way to produce some sort of force shield or generate this solid wall in front of them. It's advanced. There's no lying about that. And it's interesting to him. This technology must have been brand new right before the war started. And that says a lot. If technology advanced further, what would it look like today? And that was a thought Deku couldn't help but puzzle on. Though, that was over a month ago. And right now, he does sit here wondering exactly when the fuck they're going to be able to leave. How everything's been going out there, and what exactly their vault's been doing. And currently, Deku does have his eyes closed, sitting on the ground and with his legs folded over each other, trying to meditate. Yesterday, he worked out. The day before that, he worked out. The day before, he worked out. He's been trying to keep a pattern, to keep himself on a schedule. And right now he does a turn, looking at Chloe, opening one of his eyes as she sits there planking. And Marcy does lay there with a foot dangling, trying to get some sleep. It's been quiet for the most part. But he's fairly certain they've been here for... No, it doesn't seem like it has been that long. Days have been blending together, but that's not good. Not good at all. Before Deku, he does go to unfold his legs and lean back, currently bringing his knees up as he has to put his elbows on them, trying to think. This is annoying. A little busy. Sorry. Deku sitting there, and the people who've been monitoring them have gone over a lot. I mean, those collars have microphones on them. If these people are even half as smart as they think, then they're clever. They haven't talked once about regrouping with their team. They haven't mentioned anything about other members of their team at all. Not mentioned one thing about superiors, or anything like that. They've mainly been sitting here arguing about their next move, arguing about what to do, and they've kept this persona of going back to a vault. That on the person's mind as they do sit here watching the cameras and listening to the audio from their cell. However, there's where someone does come walking in and pressing upon them about what to do. They're going to go out there and they are going to talk with them. And right now, this does mean quite a bit. Deku, Marcy, and Chloe hearing a sound as Chloe does nearly fall on her face. Currently, her rolling to the side as she has to let her arms go limp. Them sore from sitting here for a while. And right now she does a sit up. Marcy going to begin to open her eyes after she hears the clunking of power armor making its way towards them. Currently, Deku turning his head as a man does come walking up. Him wearing some robes as a man with power armor does stand next to him, along with 3 other people. And this does mean a bit, as the man is express about how he is the elder of the Brotherhood, Elder McNamara. And they are the Vault Dwellers. We are, though I highly doubt you believe us. Unless you've been spending all this time going over our stuff. And you finally do. We are still drawing conclusions. However what? Do you have the ability to send out radio frequencies from where we're currently located at, Elder McNamara? It's quite possible we may be able to. However, our technology is still limited. Technology is still limited. Funny how you say that with this invisible wall between us. Yes, well, this is an interesting technological marvel we've discovered. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. See, it's a little hard to understand that because really what we're trying to do is send a message halfway across the Mojave. It's not that hard. In fact, furthest we're trying to go is nearby Cottonwood Cove. And you're saying that you can't send a transmission out that way? It's highly likely that we could. However, we do fear a number of things. The head paladin stepping forwards, expressing. Currently, they'll be coming with them. They're going to have a further talk and discuss more about these particular abilities they do have. The elder turning to the man and telling him about how chatting here is preferable. Afterwards, they may get cleaned up and have a meal. A proper one, one where they're not stuck inside this room. Everything will be talked about then. He wants them brought to his office once it is all said and done. And the three, they do get to sit there. The wall being brought down as the elder does walk over, turning to the three and expressing to them about their callers, about how he does hope that they do cooperate, especially after he's extending this olive branch to them. And Deku does it turn to the other two, all of them nodding their heads before they do to leave. And Deku, whenever he is taken away, he is brought to a place where he can shower. There's a lot going through his mind. His people, his home. How nice this does feel. The water is lukewarm. It's not hot, but it's not cold. It does feel great though. Running his fingers through his hair, trying to just think and figure out what to do. These people are claiming to be helpful. They might try to negotiate with them, lead things that way. After how they've treated them and learning the truth, okay, they're trying to be, that's interesting. Deku, Marcy, and Chloe's logs. Everything they've said, everything they've experienced. That's what these people are looking at. Logically speaking, they also have Tommy's log. So they know that he's been killed by one of them. They're not above taking each other out if it's for mercy or if they betray the mission. They're also well aware that they've each mentioned the Enclave in these particular parameters, being the people who experimented on them, being the ones who took them out. That definitely does mean quite a bit, though. They know they've been to Vault 3 then. He can bring that up in negotiations as a place they can look into for some pre-war technology. Establish as a base. But that does bring up a lot more things. They have the location of the Enclave base. They will know where they got those radios from if they've gone through recent things. Okay. With all this information in mind, they also know that they've been to Nellis. And that will probably be something that they want to know about. Nellis is a isolated facility, isolated place. They can use that as a bit more of a bargaining chip. Let them know what they know about the area, and even inform them about an old pre-war vault nearby. If they do like technology like people say they do. And this is something that Deku, he does like to imagine can work. And his thoughts, they do linger. He wants to relax for a minute. And in his mind, it is going to drift over to Chloe and Marcy. How they're doing. How they might be feeling. Marcy's wings recovered. They recovered well. She's been doing better, and they've all been trying to train. Chloe's been getting more mentally prepared, more mentally in the mindset of being herself again. And that's good. She's building up her own mental endurance again. And that is going to be needed for their mission. Though it does make him question his own, how well he's held himself together. And right now, while he does feel somewhat of a tightness in his chest, he does try to relax. Him taking in a breath and holding it for a minute, before the shower does suddenly have the water turn off. The person going to walk in and pound on the wall, telling him about how his time's up and how he does need to get changed since they're going to take him to get some damn food. And Izuku does understand. Currently, him getting some clothes and leaving. Walking through the base as people do to stare at this man. This man who does have the strange horns on his head. And they do sit there, 6 inches tall, and their strange appearance to them. His eyes, his hands. And Izuku, he does it to sit down, currently eating a meal that they do provide for him. Before the man, he does it take the 3 to the office. And Izuku, he does currently stand there. People stepping in as the elder does wave his hand and inform them all that this conversation is currently private, and all of them may step outside. The 3 of them are aware of what those colors can do. One false move, and the head paladin will detonate them. And that does mean quite a lot. Deku looking at the man, before he does ask them exactly about what they want. We've gone over all of your audio logs, young man. Or would you prefer me to call you Izuku? Call me whatever. Alright? You've gone over everything? Yes, we have. I've had teams working to look at all of your information. Quite extensive, if I do say. Though, that does bring up questions. Like how you became aware of all this. You want us to confirm our story. I'd like to understand a bit more. What you are. You don't give much information other than how you believe you've changed. What you know. Your doctor does have her audio notes, along with much that she does have written down, theorizing and cataloging your changes. Yeah, I do. And what of it? That is the thing. We'd like to look into these changes of yours. Take samples of your blood. All of you. Along with that, I do want to speak plainly. That would be interesting. You want to come to some sort of deal with us to let us go? In a manner of speaking, yes. Deku stepping forwards. And the man, he does is stare at Deku, expressing about how they can talk about this. He won't make any harsh, rash movements, will he? I won't. Deku standing in front of the man, bringing his hand out and telling him they can come to a set of agreements. However, he does believe that they do have the same goal in mind, exterminating the Enclave. And the man does reach his hand out, shaking Deku's and agreeing with him, since they have been a stain on this world for a long time. And they have been poisonous to this land, if not many others. And Deku, he does tell McNamara about exactly what they know so far. They can certainly come to an agreement. They take out the Enclave, and with their forces, they can establish many things. Help the Brotherhood become more prosperous in Vegas. And while some of the things the Brotherhood is against, they may not be able to guarantee, they will at least be able to give them a chance to show more power. Their vault has many resources and access to a lot of things. As a matter of fact, since they do produce some of their own resources and are self-sufficient, they will be able to give imports of a lot of things to the area. Not only do they have the Gex, they have ways to produce weaponry, massive amounts of purified water, along with items that can only be manufactured in industrialized settings. This means they have a lot to provide to the wasteland if they are able to open their doors. Deku leaving a few things out, and the man can somewhat understand. It is interesting. However, it does have him worried. Every member of the Brotherhood, they have power armor. A lot of people have it. This boy knows it, and he knows it. Hell, every person they walked past was practically walking. Every person they walked past was practically wearing a damn pair, a damn set of it. The people who weren't were scribes and, well, people who just were soldiers in training. It's alarming. Deku has never seen so much in one place, alone the wasteland. The last set he saw was on Cook Cook, and this does mean quite a lot. These people can be their biggest strength against the Enclave, or they could become a very powerful enemy. Though they're isolationist, they don't want to leave this bunker. And that can be told by one simple fact. People know about the Brotherhood of Steel, but in all their time on the surface, no one has ever seen a member of their organization. Not in Vegas, not in Westside, not in Novak, not in Nipton, not at Prim, not at Good Springs, nowhere. These people are a rumor. Almost a rumor. And that does mean a lot. And Deku, he does want to be strategic about all of this, informing this man about how he can tell them a few things about Nellis that they didn't put in the audio logs. And the man does stare at Deku, before expressing about how he would be quite intrigued to hear about this place, especially considering the fact that he did send a team that way. You did. You did not see them. Not meet them. Not anything. I fear, then, that those people might be dead or missing in action. It's quite possible. One of the two. You think that they abandoned you? Do you know where they are? No, I don't. We sent out 3 different groups to try and recover items, investigate areas, locations that could be of great importance to us, recover technology that is dangerous. And you're telling me you don't know where my people are, and a place only your people have been able to get into. I don't know where they are. You have my word on this. It is not a lie. The man's staring at Deku, and his intention, his composure, it does speak the truth. The man telling him about how he does want their people recovered. He's sent some to multiple locations, seen much, gone over a lot. Though he'd like them to recover not only their audio logs, but anything that they can. They'll need it. I see. Will that be all, McNamara? You will be given back your equipment. Given back much. However, before that task can be done, we do have another problem. And that might be evidence of the Enclave. You want us to give you evidence? The radios weren't enough? We've had suspicions that the Enclave may still be out there for some time. However, this chapter has been cut off from the others. If you are dealing with the Enclave here in the Mojave, then that is bad. We would like to talk with our brothers. Do more. I can send a squad to leave Vegas. Leave the Mojave and try and begin a journey. However, that would take a long time. By the time I believe that they can make contact, we may be in the midst of a war. Our people are already on lockdown after what happened to us at Helios 1, and the NCR are not too fond of our people. You're in power armor. Yes, it is true. However, it has a battery. It can run for a while. But what happens when that battery runs out? A soldier left alone with their training and wit can only last for so long out there. There are fiends. There are raiders. There is the fact the NCR has branded our organization as terrorist. There's Caesar's Legion. We are surrounded by enemies, along with mutants. And I do not mean that word against you or your friends. I'm sorry, your companions. We are looking at a situation where we are surrounded by all sides. No one knows who we are, where we are, and what we are capable of. You see, that's the thing I'm not understanding here. You have a chance here, a golden one. We do. And how would you say that? How would I say it? Simple. Me and my allies can bring it in to the awareness of the NCR. We can talk to them. There's an embassy in Vegas. I remember hearing about it during our trip there. Yes, whenever you were at the Gomorrah. Correct. We head there. Tell them about what is happening. They'd better believe us. If not, then we can bring them proof. Set a trap. However, that could be very dangerous for us. You understand? I do, yes. But what will this achieve? Simple. I can make a treaty. I can talk to someone about righting a wrong that has been done. You and the NCR might have had disagreements in the past, but going forward, you need to ally yourself against the Enclave. What they're doing down there has the potential to give them reign over the surface world. Do you believe so? I've killed a man in power armor before. Not just once, twice. In a suit way more advanced than the ones I've seen out there. I believe I could. If they make 100 people like me a tenth of our vault, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a little scary. Deku holding up his left hand, expressing, especially since this isn't the original hand, let alone the damn arm. She can turn invisible, and she can scream loud enough to rip the flesh off of a damn creature. Send them spiraling into a damn mess. It's simple. the Enclave, they have access to something they don't: bioengineering. And if they can get anywhere with it, they will take over. They are waiting until the war is over, and they will capture and kill the survivors, experiment on them, or release their mutant army. That's what they're up against. Do you understand? Hmm. I see. This is quite the predicament. After much consideration, I can see your point. If our people are no longer targeted by the NCR, that could... But that is a problem. We will release you. I will need to lament on much of this. You'll be able to walk throughout the facility. I will have someone outside release your callers. However, if you act against our people, you'll kill us. Yes. This proposal is quite interesting. An alliance with the NCR. A peace treaty? This could be quite beneficial. Give us... Deku watching the man, who currently is trying to go over all the alternatives in his head. A deal with the NCR sounds interesting. A way for them to operate without worrying of them coming to terms, coming to blows. These terms, they're so much more enticing. They're cut off and alone, isolated from their chapter. Their weapons and their armor are all that they have. Their brothers and sisters here in this vault, no, this bunker, are all they have. They might as well be in a vault locked down, like this. And right now the Elder does want to go over this information. It's an enticing idea. But the more he's trying to go with it, the more he's trying to find flaws in it, he can't. And right now, Deku, him and his people do get to step out. Someone going to bring them forwards and going to unlock the collars and get them off of Deku and his companions. Before Izuku does, gonna bring his hand up and somewhat scratch at his neck. Before he is told about where to head to. Since the head paladin does have their equipment and weapons, along with their pit boys. And Izuku, he does understand. Currently, him heading out as they do to find their gear. Currently, heading to the security office before Deku does go see his pit boy. Right now, him going to walk over and pick it up. Before he does, gonna put it on, and the head paladin does come to walk in, expressing about how his name is Hardin, and they must be the outsiders they've heard a lot about. Deku latching his Pip-Boy before he does watch it begin to power on. And he does a turn. Right now Marcy putting hers on, however she does inspect the latch on the back. Her expressing about how they replaced it. And Chloe does put on her own Pip-Boy. Right now her powering hers on, as Deku does get to grab some of his stuff, grabbing his bag and then turning to the table. Before he does, going to bring up his weapon and then going to hold it, turning to the man and going to put his gun in his holster, telling him about how his name's Izuku. If he's worried about them sticking around too long or causing trouble, they're not that stupid. Not one of my concerns. My concern is Elder McNamara. About his choices? Yes, actually. Elder McNamara is being highly cautious. After what happened to our previous Elder, it had us in a bit of an uproar. Our people are... We have not done good locked down here since our defeat at Helios 1. Our previous elder abandoned us, and since he has been in charge, his decisions, I feel, will lead us into ruin. Our people are not safe down here. We are not meant to be isolationist. We are meant to be out there exploring and receiving and recovering information, uncovering old world technologies and making sure they don't wind up in the wrong hands. I see. Is that what your organization's done for the last 100 so years? Yes. We're almost entirely cut off from the rest of our organization. Hmm. Okay. Deku turning. Right on him slinging the light machine gun over his shoulder. And the man does continue. Expressing. If Elder McNamara is left in charge of the Brotherhood, he is going to fail them. He wants their assistance in recovering information showing that this elder needs to step down. They need someone else who's willing to do things, take risk. And Deku does raise his eyebrow at this. Since this man, he sounds like he's offering himself for the position. And Deku does ask this question, to which he would express, their people have a lot they can do, and they're not even being put at about a tenth of their own current strength. I see. So is that the case then? Yes. I'm currently aware of your situation. I led the team investigating your audio logs and your capture. Our people need to step outside. At the rate we're going to run out of energy, run out of fusion cores, and be left here vulnerable. I don't want this to happen to our people. I see. Deku turning to the man and expressing about how he does have a proposition. And the man thinks Deku is absolutely insane. I mean, trying to strike a deal with the NCR, trying to get them to back down, to recede recede this notion that they're terrorists. It sounds insane. But Deku brings it up. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And while this might not be the right case for that, he's fairly certain the NCR, even they, would not be opposed to someone else helping eradicate the Enclave in its entirety. If they crush that threat, then it works out. They have a good repertoire to start negotiations. If they send their people out right now, send out a group to get back into contact with their branch of the Brotherhood of Steel, their entire organization, this chapter won't be isolated nor alone. And right now the man does understand this. Him and Deku coming to a bit more of a deal. Deku and his allies can look into finding those lost patrols. Look into what more they can find to help out their people, get rid of Elder McNamara, so Hardin can step up as Elder and help them take out the Enclave. That also does mean going back to Vegas and trying to convince the NCR the Enclave are real again. Or at least still around. Well, they know they exist, so that's for sure a good thing. Now they just need a little bit of proof. Shit. Now, the three, they do currently go to leave. One of them stepping out of Hidden Valley, as Deku, he does go to feel the morning sun on his skin. Currently, Deku stepping out as there actually is Marcy, who, whenever she does go to bring her hands up, she's going to allow her wings to stretch, them expanding out completely, Ash is to give them a few test flaps to see exactly how they do feel. Deku turning as she does go to walk over and plop herself down in the warm sand. Her commenting about how much better it feels out here. Her going to somewhat move her arms and legs around in it. Her trying to get a little comfortable before Deku, he does a look at the two, walking over and plopping himself down in the sand. Him finding it to be a lot more comfortable. Before he does go to sit up and go to press record on his Pip-Boy, bring his right hand back down and burying it a bit more in the sand. Him wiggling his fingers as he does begin. Day 478. It has been 63 days since our last update. There is a reason for that. We were captured by the Brotherhood of Steel when we landed in their secured area. We were unaware that they inhabited a bunker in the Hidden Valley. It was quite a surprise when they ambushed us. We were able to send out our broadcast, even get a response, inform our vault as to what we've been dealing with and the dangers of the world above. Afterwards, however, we are currently finding ourselves in a very interesting situation. We need to talk to members of the NCR, leadership. And that means we need to go back to the embassy in Vegas, try and sort out some sort of peace treaty between the two factions, and then, hopefully, with access to resources, we can hunt down their missing squads. Along with that, Head Paladin Hardin also does have a deal for us. McNamara does not seem to be very inclined to let his people step out into the world. Hardin, however, I believe that he is more battle ready and able to give the Brotherhood what they need. They could be a powerful ally and a dangerous enemy. We are trying to figure out our next move carefully. If we're able to make some sort of agreement, then it is highly likely that we can take out the Enclave quickly. I believe that will require us to go back to Vegas. I would like us to check out the hotel nearby. Then I believe that we should investigate Vault 34 for weaponry, and if we can make contact with the inhabitants there. I believe that we would need some resources their vault could provide us, if we cannot find them in the Vault Hotel on the Strip. Deku flipping his Pip-Boy closed. Before he does, gotta lay back in the sand and let it warm him. This being surprisingly pleasant for him to sit in. And Chloe does sit up, as right now she does go to add to her own log, and Deku does go to sit up himself, currently brushing the sand out as he does go to turn to Marcy, who does sit there with her back turned and recording her own audio log, or presumably typing a few things in on her screen. Now, the three, they do go to leave, them going to talk about the current mission. They can make it a bit of a loop. Head to Vegas, then head to the hotel. Then afterwards, they should head to the vaults, back to Nellis if they can with what they can find and scavenge, hopefully, or hopefully they can find people there who are more willing to help. Take them back to Nellis, work some stuff out there, and let them know that these people are from the same vaults. Then get a massive force prepared for the assault on Camp Searchlight's airport. Yeah. Ground forces are more than likely going to be what they encounter. However, with the vertibirds the Enclave does have and the possible artillery they might have, this could be another problem entirely. If they have Air Force troops and they have anti-air artillery, it is highly likely they can take out the boomers, though that is their main concern. Find out their strengths. Afterwards, hopefully they'd be able to do more. And this is what the group does talk about. Currently, them going over a few things. And when they do decide to try and begin their walk, there is where Marcy is actually looking at the map. Her going to comment on how they won't make it far past that road. Oh, right. We're past Black Mountain. So that means we'd more likely run into Sloan. Yeah, it's that. We won't get far that way, and we can't take a detour the other way. We'd be wasting time. Her turning, talking about how she can give them a bit of a shortcut. Fly them to the 188 and they can pick up some supplies. Huh. Whiskey? Of course, whiskey. After being in there for 2 months, I need a drink. I'm not gonna fault you on that one. Yeah. To be honest, the 188 sounds like a really good place to be right now. The three agree. Marcy going to walk over as she's to grab onto the two. Currently, her beginning to flap her wings as she does go to get airborne. Deku and Chloe, watching as Marcy does begin to mutate a little bit as she does build a bit more in size. Her flying them over the mountain as they do go overhead. Right now, them going to land. And Marcy, she does go to comment on it. Right now, her going to sit there for a minute. Them on the riverbed. There used to be water all around. This place was huge, massive, and beautiful. But now they turn and look out at the apocalyptic desert. Desolate. Nothing to be seen. And Deku, he does gotta bring his pistol. Hearing a noise and commenting on it. As he does turn. Currently seeing some ants in the distance as Chloe does comment on them. Everybody turning and making their way towards their destination. However, Marcy does have the idea to shoot at them. They get them, have them for some food, and then they go get plastered. Get a little tipsy. The hotel might sell liquor, but it might be marked up. And this is an idea they really don't want to have to go through. Spend the additional chems. Now, everybody, they are walking. However, there is where they do get a turn. Deku seeing a hole in the mountain as he sees a door. And this does catch his attention. Everyone walking over to him as Deku does make his way over. Him going to push the door open and go to step in. His eyes beginning to adjust. And he does get to hear rat scorpions pulling his weapon. Him holding it up as he does begin to see a few start making their way towards him. They're tiny. Deku going to holster his gun as he does a step in. Currently, one making his way towards him is Deku. He does go to smash his foot down onto it, stepping forwards and smashing his foot down into the other one. And the third one approaching him, he does go to smash with his fist. Him picking him up by the tail as he's a turn, grabbing the other two and pulling them up into the air. And these squashed little rat scorpions, they might at least make an interesting little snack. Them stepping in as Chloe does get a whiff of the air, smelling the blood and asking if he's alright. I'm fine. Deku heading further into this cave, talking about it. This place is interesting. Maybe they might find something. Maybe they might... Izuku? It's a vault. Deku dropping the scorpions. And all of them, they do come running in, confused. However, when they do go to make their way forwards, they see it. It's a vault. The vault door is wide open. And it does intrigue them. And the group, they're not sure what to say. I mean, he walked into a cave. A cave. That's what this was. And there's a vault right in front of him. They found one by mistake. Them stepping inside. This place is right next to the 188. He's walked up and down this road with Marcy. He's made his way past this road before by himself. They must have gone by this road. How did they miss a vault? And this idea, it does alarm him. The three stepping in and beginning to look around. In this place, it's infested. They check it. There's not much. There's giant rats, giant mantises, and the place, it's barren. It's covered in posters. It's covered in election notices for overseer. And this, it does have them quite surprised. Deku looking around. And whenever he does get to check one of the terminals, he does see a bit of information. And the group, they do spend hours searching the vaults. They find alcohol. They find some old food. And they find human remains. They pass a skeleton walking in here. A few. But now they see a lot of things. They gathered ammunition, scrap, electronics, metal. They found duct tape and some wonder glue. And Deku, he was quite intrigued about some of the tools they found. And this means a bit. Him trying to find anything else he can look at for the area. Though people must have already come here. Been here? There are members of the NCR here. And Deku, he did decide to take their dog tags. If these people are missing in action, it will be at least good for their families to know where they are. And Izuku, this does mean quite a lot to him. Currently him taking one of the service rifles they had. And this, it does mean a bit. Currently him with the LMG, his pistol, his knife, and the service rifle. Chloe taking one as well. And Marcy, she's looking around alarmed. She wants to find the Overseer's office. Find out more about what to do. Just try and learn more about this place. And whenever she does go to find the office, it's horrifying. This vault gives her a bad feeling. One her gut doesn't want her to trust. And the group, they do to leave. So far, what they know is there might be a reason you don't want to be the overseer of this vault. Some sort of experiment. Psychologically, yeah. They can't find any parts that they might need. They've got food, they've got some junk material to use, and now they should go. That's the best idea. Just leave and hopefully come back later. If their people can, they can inspect this area. See if there's anything that they can salvage. The power station might be the best bet, but that could really be it. This on their minds. And when the three do finally arrive at the 188, it's late at night. They bought some more booze, and they all sat there, quietly around a campfire. It was horrible. there's something wrong with that place. Walking the halls of a vault and seeing no life. It reminded them of 22 and Vault 3. Vault 3, when they went to it, it was taken over by fiends, by raiders. And this had them worried. 3 vaults. No good things. The vault on the strip, they know, is a hotel now. There's got to be something good there. There's got to be any information they have there. In this, it does have them all a little concerned. Currently, them sleeping, as Deku, he does sit there on the first watch. And there's the next morning, where Deku got a few hours as they made their way to Vegas. Currently, them passing through the strip after 12 o'clock. And this does mean a lot. Them making their way past the Gamora as one of the dancers, they do try to walk up. Them pressing themselves directly into Deku and talking about how he should come try and gamble. In fact, she can give him a bit of a discount. Things are nice, simple. Just have a good time. Come on in and let loose. And Deku, he did pull away. Chloe pulling her gun and telling the dancer to back off since he's not interested. And the girl does get to back away. Her commenting about how she's just doing a job. And Deku does check his pockets, turning to the woman and telling her, going to bring up his knife, about how if she doesn't hand back those caps, he'll peel her hands off. And the woman does go to pull the bag out from behind her back. The bag out from behind her back. Her commenting on it, as Deku, he does go to take them. Before he does bring the knife directly up to her throat and tell her about how losing her head isn't worth 50 caps. Don't try that again. And the woman, she does sit there frozen. Deku pulling the knife away before he does let out a small growl. And the lady does understand. Her backing off as Deku and the group do go to walk through the other gate. Currently, them going to see the Tops Casino, turning and seeing the monorail and the building it does lead to. Before they make their way forwards, them seeing another casino. And there is something interesting. Currently, Deku turning his head and seeing what looks like some NCR soldiers. Right now, their uniforms scattered all around them, as they are dancing in the fountain with their helmets on, and they do still have barely any clothing left. Currently, one of them hollering out as people, they do start to stare. And someone, they do go to directly come out of the gate that Deku and his group were about to walk through. Deku turning his head as the 3 do get to stare on. One of the MPs coming by. Deku seeing the MP stamped on their helmet. And this, it does get its attention, since the NCR military police are trying to intervene. And the group, they do just stare on. Before the MPs, they do try to shout at the people to get out. However, one of them, they just step forward and splash the man, informing him about how they're not on duty and about how he can't give them orders. This is Vegas! And one of the Securitrons, they do start to roll up. Her turning and whistling out before the others do go to run. Some attempting to grab their clothes, and others running in their undergarments directly through the strip. Them making their way towards the gate heading to Gamora. And Deku and the 3, or Deku and the 2, do go to watch on. The 3 staring on and beginning to somewhat laugh. Before Deku does get a turn. The gate opening up, as some people they are shuffling back through. Deku and his group heading inside as well, and the gate doesn't close behind. Before someone does a let out of a sigh, annoyed, since they don't have much control of Vegas, and the group does a stare on. On their left is the NCR Embassy. On their right is the Vault Hotel, the Vault 21 Hotel. And this, it's a bit interesting to them. They are about to stay in a Vault Hotel. However, Deku does get a step forwards, making his way to the left as some people do start to see the three approach. Currently, them wanting to know who they are as they do ask for identification. Deku looking at the person and telling them about how they do have important information to give to their superiors, and how right now he doesn't have much he can tell them. Sir, I can't let you in. You're gonna want to. Deku turning. The person bring their left hand up and going to activate the cattle prod, stopping in front of Deku as is a hiss. Deku looking down. Before he has to turn his head and the person does tell him. Without proper clearance, he can't. Deku bringing his left hand up, grabbing the man by the throat, and then bringing up his right hand. Him twisting the man's wrist before he has to drop the cattle prod. Deku raising him up into the air as the other NCR military police member, they do a turn, making their directly towards Deku before Chloe does get a step in. Her stepping in front for bringing her hands up. Her going to step forwards and go to bend down before she does rapidly move upwards and pounce. Her flipping the person's wrist and turning it before bringing her hand up and tapping the person in the throat. Before she does shift her body, turn, and go to throw them directly over her, pinning them to the ground. Her bring her foot directly up to their chest and then holding onto their hand, as they do start to twist and twist and twist and stop. And this does mean a bit. Before Deku, still holding the person in there, does get to ask. Him holding them a few, if at least 2 feet off the ground, in one hand. And people do step forwards. Before Deku, he does go to turn to the man and see that right now he is beginning to lose consciousness. Deku going to drop the man to the side before stepping in, walking through the gate informing them. They've got a lot to talk about. He would recommend none of them fire. Deku holding up his hands, telling them. He's here to give them information about a very dangerous threat to the NCR and the people of the Mojave. And people do look at Deku, some with their weapons ready. Before Deku does go see some of them step forwards, turning to Chloe and telling her not to break that guy's arm, and Marcy does a step in, informing them she would recommend they not do that. Her having her wings fully expand, and when people do to see her wings unhook behind her back and shoot out of her clothing, this does alarm them. Her standing there, the cloak flying to the ground as Deku does express. As they can see, they are not normal humans. Deku bringing his hand up to one of his horns, giving it a tug and showing them. Right now, this is one of the things they want to talk about. Now, if they can head inside and give a proper greeting to someone, that would be nice. And people, they are muttering to each other, as right now some of them, they're not listening. Bring radios up and trying to talk to people inside the embassy. Before Marcy does do one thing. She does a suck in her breath and let out a massive whistle. The sound loud, hurting, and Deku, he does go slightly wince for bringing his own hands up, and Chloe does a let go of the person and go to bring her hands up to her ears as well. Glass shattering and cracking, and people, they do get to drop their weapons and bring their hands up to their ears. Before Marcy does a stop and express. That's the sound of her whistling. If they want to hear the sound of her screaming, they'd be lucky to let them have an audience. Or do they not care about the idea of multiple scorched beasts being in the Mojave? And people do a turn staring at her, as her wings do to fold up into her back, and right now they do to sit there. Them wrapping around forwards as she does bring her hands up, before they do to try and lay as flat as they can against her skin. Her having them hook forwards as she does go to sit there. Right now them beginning to somewhat shrink down. And this, it does catch them all off guard. Currently someone stepping out, expressing about exactly what the hell is happening out here. And Deku does tell them. He's Izuku Midoriya of Vault 16, and he's here with two of his companions to talk. Right now, Deku turning, motioning. He'd like them to meet Chloe Mendez and Marcy Winters. These two are two other Vault Dwellers who are experimented on it with him. Deku turning. But you sound up. Questions at the end. Now listen. Under normal circumstances, we would have liked to handle things diplomatically. However, we are on a very tight time crunch. And fact of the matter is, we've lost 2 months of our schedule. And that isn't even counting the months we were spent experimented on and tortured by the Enclave. Now, what we're here to do is quite easy for you to understand. We want you and the NCR to talk to the Brotherhood of Steel about signing a peace treaty. You can't be serious. Deku turning. Ellery does a stare down the man does somewhat he does somewhat back away surprised, trying to shrink down into himself. And Deku, he does go to express. The Enclave have the capabilities to engineer soldiers like them. Deku staying there. And whenever multiple people do start to try and approach him, he does begin to grow in size. Him bring his hands forward and down. And whenever he does a stand there at nearly 12 feet tall, people do get to stare on, watching him, seeing how large he is. And they do even comment about how he's a fucking Deathclaw. And Deku does talk about it. Him lowering himself down and expressing in a very gruff voice. Somewhat. He's human, born and raised. Deku shrinking back down. Before he said talk about it, his voice sounding more human. However, things like this happen. They just get worse. And then, whenever everything is how it is, they don't know what happens after that. The Enclave put them through tests, trials, and he's fairly certain they planned to kill them. They've got 2, and they've got 1 remaining. They have super soldiers of some of the most dangerous species in the wasteland. If he's got Deathclaw blood running through his veins, he can only imagine what they did with this year's batch, especially since they didn't get that message out. And the people do stare at Deku alarmed, before he does get a turn, telling Chloe about how she should show them what she can do. Her stepping forwards, before she has to give a smile and bring up her hands, her letting go of the objects as she does go to vanish. And this does alarm everybody, before she's to reappear and Deku talks about it, turning back. That should be enough of a demonstration. Right now they've already talked with members of the Brotherhood of Steel. If the 2 organizations could come together to eradicate the Enclave and save members of his vault, he believes that would be good. The Brotherhood have terms and the NCR will of course have their own. However, a mutual assurance would possibly be the best outcome for them. they need strong allies against the Legion. Him and his vault would even be willing to take up the cause and fight for the independence of Vegas. However, that is some time in the future. And if they are not willing to have a powerful ally within the Brotherhood, nor his vault, then they will find people who will help them. And that does mean a bit. The person stepping forwards. And Deku, he does get to stare at the person. Them asking exactly why he's doing all this. Doing this? I lived my life underground before I came up here. Right now, you need to understand. Our lives weren't peaceful. We've seen what happens to other vaults. That we can tell you much of. They're gone. We're so desperate to get back home because that's all we've ever known. And let me say one thing. Trying to walk in here and talk bureaucratically with you is not on my list of priorities today. Violence gets results, and force is going to show off what we have. I'm bringing you evidence of what the Enclave has done. Us. Engineered us to be monsters. If you do all want to say that. The looks on your faces tell me all of you are thinking it. We're mutants. And people, good people, are being hurt right now because of them. I can hand you all of their technology, all their resources on a silver fucking platter if you will help me. Though, I know my leaders might have a bit of problems with that if you are not willing to help. Now, people are staring at Deku, members of the military police, and even some Securitrons. Deku and his group, they have broken some rules. However, they're not harming anybody, being hostile. And this does mean a bit. As right now, he does get a turn, talking about how they'll be at the Vault Hotel. When they have somebody who will want to meet with them and talk with them, they'll be here. However, they will not stay for long. So get their heads out of their asses with bureaucracy and get things moving. Since this is a good golden opportunity for the NCR to take out the Legion. And if they can help them, he can assure his help in helping them take out Kaisar. And members of the NCR are staring at Deku, since he doesn't mean this is some half-hearted thing. He means it as a promise. He's trying to guarantee them a group of people to help. And the idea of super soldiers, an entire organization of people with power armor, and a vault backing them, that is a lot. And getting Kaiser's head, getting him killed, and letting the Legion sort things out above themselves. The infighting that can occur. The person here, they're supposed to look at and see things moving. And right now, they do need to send a report. Send a lot of reports. Since they just saw a guy outside turn into a Deathclaw. They heard a woman whistle loud enough to break glass, and she had wings. The only thing that they can think of that has wings like that and can make sounds similar to that is the Scorch Beast that's gone missing. And then there's a girl, a woman who could turn invisible. All of their eyes were strange. I mean, the Enclave did this to them and their Vault Dwellers. They were normal people. And this, it does have people around the embassy scattering around, trying to put this as a top priority. Since they do send out the message. Members of a vault have made contact with the embassy, and what they're reporting is something that they should all take notice of immediately. They have a lot of problems right now in the Mojave, But the most pressing one might be the return of the Enclave. And Deku and his group, they usually check in at the Vault Hotel, asking the lady at the desk, Sarah, about exactly what they have here. And she's quite surprised to see three people with Pip-Boys, along with the way that they're looking around, their expressions, the way it nearly soothes them whenever they do to walk down those stairs. She can tell. They they know something about this place. She might not. It's nice. And the three do to head downstairs, since they want to investigate this place first, see what they can find. And if there's anything that they can take, Chloe, yeah, she'll take it. But right now, they need to settle in and get ready, since this does mean quite a bit. Now, the three do need to wait for anyone from the Enclave to talk to them. However, they have taken notice to the situation. They've been watching, and Mr. House is quite curious about this himself. He is going to observe the situation for right now, and if he does need to step in, then step in. However, that man and his companions, they could be of great use to him. Perhaps he should talk with them, see what more he can do with that. And currently, we do have Deku, who does a lay down in a room and go display himself out on the bed, stretching and trying to think. Before he just sit up, turning his head and wondering. This place is like home, but it's not. It's different. It smells different. And this thought does somewhat trouble Izuku. Before he does sit here for a second and then gonna take a drink. Right on him, bring up his Pip-Boy, and beginning to record. As Chloe and Marcy are trying to check a few things out. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.